Hi, I'm Shane Bainey, and today we're going to be talking about browse lines, which is something that white-tailed deer cause to some of our forests. So if you take a look at some of this area here, what you'll notice is that white-tailed deer come through these areas and they're eating everything from the forest floor up to about 4.5 feet, and sometimes they go up to about 6 feet. So if you look at this edge that I have here, you'll see all of the leaves above that 4.5 to 6 foot range are still intact, but everything below that has been eaten by white-tailed deer. So specifically on this mulberry tree, we see tons of deer browse that have been occurring on each of these branches, and all the new leaves that have sprouted this year are now being eaten off by white-tailed deer. So when we think about long-term impacts in our forests, we have to think about how much ecological damage are deer having on a lot of our tree species, and how can that impact how many young trees are able to actually grow up and actually get out of that browse line range. What we saw with the browse lines is, deer eating all the vegetation from that ground level up to about 4.5 feet. But as you can see here, there are some species growing on the ground, but one thing that you want to note is what type of species are they. So we have garlic mustard here, and we have creeping Charlie down below. I believe that's creeping Charlie anyway. But those two species are invasive plants that deer prefer not to eat. So what we see is all of the native plants that have been in this area are being browsed off, and it makes it really easy for all of these other invasive plants to come in here and actually proliferate. On a few of these branches, yep, there's a little bit of browse happening on some of these branches, but other leaves here are within that like 4.5 foot range. So they're not eating those ones, and that might be just a diet preference of some of the deer that are here. All of the native species being gone, all of these invasive species like this Japanese stiltgrass are literally creating a blanket along this entire forest floor. And when you have higher deer densities, this is kind of what the result can come out to be in some of our forests, which is alarming, and it makes a lot of work for some of our Baltimore City divisions, like the forestry division, so they have to come out here and do some invasive species work. But yeah, it's not good to see this. I'd much rather see a lot of our native plant species thriving.